Hello and a very warm welcome. You're watching a special edition of the Newsroom being brought to you today from sunny California. I'm in San Jose, the heart of the Silicon Valley, and this is where Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be touching down in less than 24 hours from now. There's a palpable sense of excitement and anticipation amongst members of the Indian American community as they wait for their rock star Prime Minister to touch down. They're also buzzing with ideas about what India can do to replicate the kind of atmosphere that leads to the building of a Silicon Valley. But I want to kickstart our broadcast today from the East Coast, which is where Prime Minister Modi is right now, which is also where Pakistan is upping the ante on Kashmir with a series of statements which really show how the room for reconciliation and the window for talks seems to be closing down. My colleague Smita Sharma files this first report for the Newsroom from New York.
Will they or won't they meet in New York? That's the big question. Narendra Modi and Nawaz Sharif will be at the Waldorf Astoria Hotel at the same time, but the possibility of any meeting seems remote, with Pakistan introducing a new irritant in bilateral ties. Islamabad has complained to UN Security Council, alleging that India was building a wall along the line of control. In a letter to the UN Security Council President, Pakistan's ambassador to UN Maliha Lodi alleged that the wall was being constructed with the plan to convert the LOC into a quasi-international border. But Pakistan's allegation is based not on any hard evidence, but a submission made by Hizbul Mujahideen chief Syed Salahuddin. The wall claim has been demolished by India by pointing out that Pakistan has quoted a global terrorist in its letter.
Nawaz Sharif's speech in the UNGA is going to be braced a lot with the Kashmir word, and ahead of that, in fact, Pakistan once again trying to raise the Kashmir bogey. It was last month when on 4th September and on 9th September, the Pakistani envoy to its permanent mission to the UN, Maliha Lodi, had shot off those two letters, which MEA said that the first letter seemed to be contradicting itself, because where they complained of no bilateral dialogue happening, which was followed by that meeting between the Pak Rangers and the BSF. On the second letter, which complains of an Indian embankment construction along the LSC, MEA says that it seems to be submissions made by Syed Salahuddin of the United Jihad Council, who is considered a global terrorist by India, and they will only appropriately respond at a later time.
Left red-faced after its wall at LOC complaint, Pakistan has now put the onus of Modi-Nawaz meeting on India. India has also said that it will respond if Nawaz Sharif raises the Kashmir issue in his address at the UN General Assembly on 30th September. With Smita Sharma in New York, Bureau Report, India Today.
Let's shift our attention from the East Coast to the West Coast, where we are. And the first report that I want to get you on the Newsroom today is from the San Jose State University, where a large number of the students studying the IT engineering courses at the postgraduate level are all Indians. In some classes, this is as much as 80 to 90% of the total student population in that course. I went to a student apartment block and I found that there was a raging debate taking place over Hardik Patel and his demands for reservation. Here is our fountain per charcha from San Jose. We are currently at the 101 San Fernando student block. There are about 1,000 students who stay in these apartments. Between 70 and 80% of those students are Desis. They're Indians. This is called Mini India, and some of these students are joining us now. Thank you very much. Most of them study at the San Jose State University. They're studying engineering and they want to work in one of the big companies that make up Silicon Valley. Are you all excited about Prime Minister Modi's visit?
Yes, of course. Quite excited. I'm basically following each and every news about that. So, but
have you managed to get a ticket to go into the Prime Minister's event?
It's a difficult question. I haven't got a ticket, but still I am looking forward to hearing from him.
So how many people here have managed to get tickets to go into the Modi event? You've got tickets? Oh, just very few. How many people tried to get a ticket? Oh, virtually everybody tried. Make in India, Skill India, Digital India. Are these just slogans or do they mean anything to you?
the Silicon Valley is all about an ecosystem of innovation, invention and governance. Out of these, innovation and invention are there in India, but the basic thing missing is good governance. And we expect Mr. Modi to talk about good governance. He's planning to take as a lesson from Delhi to back there to India. And we hopefully in 5 to 10 years, we plan to go back and work back there in India.
As students who study over here, what are the lessons, according to you, that the Prime Minister should take back to India?
So like the lessons, I would say that he's going to meet the CEOs of the Facebook and all. So, he's like motivating all youngsters and all to, work more in this particular area. And, maybe after a few years, we may plan back, go to India and work over there.
The Prime Minister says, come make in India, come be a part of the startup ecosystem. Is that something that gives you confidence?
Yeah, that gives us confidence, because Silicon Valley is all about startups. So we get motivated from here, and when we go back to India, we have some idea how to do startups and all, how the company runs. Basically, the culture of American culture is really inspirable.
Okay, one young person who seems to have quite a bit of resonance, some supporters, some detractors, is Hardik Patel. And we got a young Patel over here who was quite charged up about Hardik Patel. Said, I saw your CD baat with Hardik Patel. So what did you think of what Hardik Patel is saying?
Well, I do not believe in his ideology. I am also a Patel, but I am not in sync with what he is saying. It is his opinion. There are few followers of him, but at least I am not his follower.
So how many people here have been following what Hardik Patel has been saying back home? You've been following, and what do you... Yeah, okay. And what do you think of Hardik Patel's message?
Not to point out specifically, but part of our migration from India to Valley and other parts of America has been reservation, and it's been a major concern. To take my word, we need to abolish reservation as soon as possible.
So you agree with what Hardik Patel is saying?
Abolish reservation and meritocracy, support meritocracy as soon as possible. Otherwise, we have a huge gap to follow what Silicon Valley has in store.
We are already facing lots of hatredness, discrimination in our country, and again these characters like Hardik Patel is going to come over into the picture. Definitely the discrimination is going to be very, very bad.
Okay, is there anyone here who agrees with what Hardik Patel is saying?
No, I mean, it's something like he says something differently and he acts something differently. If the real cause is to abolish a reservation, then the action should have been different, and the way he is fighting, it should have been different.
So how many people believe reservation should be done away with? That you should abolish reservation? So everybody, so all of you are essentially upper castes, don't want any reservation at all.
It's not about the caste. The motive of the reservation was to uplift those students, those persons who are really wanted to. But that is not actually happening in our country.
The reservation is the main thing that is pulling us back, and that is the main reason why brain drain is happening in India. So if reservation is moved out, then you will see many of the youngsters, pursuing masters over back there in India, and startups and all that culture will come back in India if that particular thing is removed.
Do you think if there's no reservation, you'd like to stay back, maybe study and work in India?
Yeah, sure. I'm from the lower caste, but I want reservation to be removed, because it's been so long after our independence. It's been so long that it has been following, but it should be put to an end now.
It's interesting. Yeah.
Reservation should be on the economic factors, not on the caste factors. That's what I believe.
You see the benefits of meritocracy that goes on in Silicon Valley. Everybody is same. Only thing matters is education. So you have seen, I think India has seen how Silicon Valley has grown over the years without any kind of reservation, and hubs like Bangalore and Hyderabad have this potential, but I think something like reservation stops us from moving forward at this stage.
Yeah, definitely, and because you should definitely get the admissions based on your merits rather than your caste. So I definitely believe that reservation education system should definitely be removed.
Well, it's interesting how 8,000 miles away from home, Hardik Patel has stirred a big debate where most people disagreeing with his means but agreeing with the idea that maybe reservation should be done away with. They feel that if there were no reservation, maybe they'd choose to stay back and work and study in India. Thank you all very much for joining us. More power to Indian Desis, and may you continue to rock and shape Silicon Valley. Thank you all for joining us. Thank you. This is the ideas tree in Silicon Valley. The whole idea behind Silicon Valley is to come up with disruptive ideas that change the way the world functions. And no one place in the world has come up with as many cutting-edge, innovative ideas that redefine the way we live our lives. I caught up with the organizers of the big NaMo community event here in San Jose. They're buzzing with excitement, and they're also inundated with requests about people wanting to come and attend the Prime Minister's speech. Already 45,000 people have registered, out of which only 18,000 will be able to enter the SAP Arena in San Jose to listen to the Prime Minister. I'm joined now by some of the key people who are organizing this big Indian community outreach. Thank you all very much for joining us. I want to start by asking Vijay Sima Andrabag about how excited is the Indian community about the fact that the Prime Minister is coming here, because most Indian Prime Ministers in recent years tend to go to Washington, they go to New York, they go back to New Delhi. This is the first time somebody is coming to Silicon Valley.
Every Indian in this Indian diaspora is certainly very excited, because no Prime Minister has visited for Silicon Valley, and obviously we have been seeing Prime Minister Modi from a distance, and when he is coming here, it is like everyone is frenzy about seeing him.
Okay, and what do you all make of the work that the Prime Minister has done so far, and what does this visit of the Prime Minister mean?
You know, I think as observers looking back at India, I think the Prime Minister has clearly set a vision and a mandate that seems to have gotten the community to understand that there's hope for a rising India. For observers in the United States, we look at this as a recognition of the fact that living in America, there's got to be this great sense of pride that a country of 1 billion people is becoming both a geopolitical and a geoeconomic power. Coming to Silicon Valley certainly is a recognition of the fact of the disproportionate contribution the Indian American community has made. Understanding that the Made in India and the Digital India message that Prime Minister Modi wants to bring is flattering, but at the same time, it's just a great sense of pride. It gives this community this hope that in America, the immigrant journey is legitimized because we're recognizing that India recognizes the growing contribution of Silicon Valley.
The benchmark was set by the event at Madison Square Garden, which was followed by big events in Australia, big events also in China. What makes you think what happens here at San Jose is going to be any better?
It's not a question of better. All of them are as important to the Prime Minister as any other event. The question is about the excitement. The question is about the pride that people feel for hosting the most popular Prime Minister we have had since independence.
Techies are very difficult to get hold of. Unlike, say, people in Dubai who are blue-collar workers, easier to get hold of. How difficult has it been to encourage people to come and attend the Prime Minister's speech?
So it's a very interesting question, right? When you have someone you really love, admire, inspire, it's not difficult. So the techies are very difficult to get hold of. Definitely they are not interested in the politics. But Narendra Modi is not a politics for them. It is someone they can resonate with. It is someone whose vision is they are dearly waiting for that. So someone who can be pain that seeing that where currently India is. And here is the leader who not only has a vision, who has a successful track record, and they have so glued into that this is the person who can transform the India where it is to from developing nation to the developed nation. It takes when they go India, they see that it's not getting developed for years and years and decades and decades. Now today the initiatives that Narendra Modi has launched, whether it's a Make in India, whether it's a Startup India, whether it's a Clean India, whether it's a smart cities, all these things, they are resonate with us.
Are we seeing excitement also amongst the younger members of the community, or it's only the mostly older members who are more keen?
No, it's across the board. From young to old to professionals to people associated with a different, every language or culture or faith, everybody across the board is very excited to welcome our Prime Minister.
Last year there was novelty. Now that the Prime Minister has been in office for 16 months, do you think a certain amount of incumbency is catching up with him? Is the sheen wearing off?
No, I don't think Madison Square Garden was a novelty. I think Madison Square Garden was a recognition of the fact about the growing influence of India and the fact that the Honorable Modi, Prime Minister Modi, had clearly come back with a vision. And I think that's what mesmerized the world. I don't think the mesmerization is end, frankly, by the sheer magnitude of the attention from Silicon Valley and leadership across the United States is clearly a recognition of the fact that there is a growing attention to India's rising influence. It's clearly the opportunity, substance backed by people, an agenda that clearly has the ability to transform not only Silicon Valley, America, India, and create jobs, economy, and uplifting the middle class. That will never wear off from community of all stripes of life. Khandarao ji is absolutely right. The tapestry of people, the involvement of people is unprecedented. It's not novelty. It's the hopes and aspirations of an immigrant community followed by a growing country, a strong country, a growing country with a leader that has understood that brand India is the most significant opportunity that we have. And this is why all of us, professionals, self-employed, are coming back and saying, let's be a part of this historic opportunity.
It's interesting that none of the excitement seems to have died down in the least. People still as buzzed, as excited about the Prime Minister's visit here. We'll of course be at hand at the SAP Center in San Jose, covering every twist and turn of the Prime Minister's visit to Silicon Valley. Thank you all very much for joining us. Thank you. San Jose is the one area in the Bay where the maximum number of Indians reside. I went to a local community radio, Desi 1170 AM, and found that every second caller dialing into the shows was requesting for a pass. Everyone desperate to find some way of being able to enter the SAP Arena on Sunday. The Indian community is waiting with bated breath for Prime Minister Narendra Modi to step down in California. We're currently in the studios of Desi 1170 AM. This is a local radio station, and joining us are three of the top radio jocks who work at this station serving the Indian community. Thank you all very much for allowing us into your studios. I want to start with you, Jagruti. Tell us, what's the mood like in the Indian community building up to the Prime Minister's visit?
There is hardly anyone who doesn't know and doesn't want to come up, and no passes. So I'm very busy receiving the call saying the passes are not available. So yeah, excitement is at the peak, and Mr. Modi is very popular.
So how do you see things having changed in the past 1.5 years that Modi has been Prime Minister of India?
जब से प्राइम मिनिस्टर बने हैं मोदी जी, उससे पहले की जो कंडीशन थी उसको अगर हम देखें तो ऐसा लगता था कि भारत को एक मुकम्मल पहचान नहीं मिल पा रही है, और जब से मोदी जी जो है वो सत्ता में आए हैं तो भारत को एक मुकम्मल पहचान मिली है, नया नाम मिला है, और या यूं कहिए कि अब भारतीयों से जो लोगों की अपेक्षाएं हैं वो और बढ़ गई हैं.
Do you sense that the way Indians are perceived here in Silicon Valley and elsewhere has changed in the past year?
If you see our statistics, Silicon Valley is known to be a startup companies. This is the place where people invest a lot for good ideas and startups. So 60-70% तो अपने Indians ही है entrepreneurs में. So we are already respected and perceived and embraced without any conditions. So लेकिन मोदी जी से आने से एक ऐसा लगा कि suddenly सब लोग एक दूसरे को पहचानने लगे, एक साथ में जुड़ गए. The whole thing has changed a lot, like kind of perception for Indians. People want to go to India, invest in India.
Deepak ji, you're an astrologer, and techies are supposed to be at the forefront of cutting edge technology. Do they believe in astrology and Jyotish Shastra, or are they moving away saying that this is hocus pocus and we want to focus only on what we can do with our own destiny?
नहीं, ये जो सब जो टेकी हैं ये ज़्यादा बिलीव करते हैं. इसलिए ज़्यादा बिलीव करते हैं कि जो इनका एक आइकॉन पर्सन था स्टीव जॉब, जब उसको एक समय निकाल दिया था अपनी कंपनी से तो वो भारत ही पहुंचा था, और भारत पहुंचकर उसको कुछ गुरुओं की और ऐसी ही एनर्जी जो हमें हमारे शास्त्रों से बहुत समय से चल रही है वो मिली थी, और फिर वो वापस आया तो फिर उसने इतनी बड़ी एप्पल की जो है वो कंपनी खड़ी करी, और आज एप्पल आप देख लीजिए. और इनफैक्ट ये ज्योतिष, मैं ये जो प्रोग्राम कर रहा हूँ 6 साल से, और जो मेरे क्लाइंट हैं वो टॉप टेकी ही लोग हैं, चाहे ऑरेकल की बात कर लो, याहू की बात कर लो, गूगल की बात कर लो, उसमें जो टॉप
जितना एडवांस होता है उतना ज़्यादा ज्योतिष में विश्वास करता है. Okay, one final question, Jagruti. How many people have been calling in about the Prime Minister's big event at the SAP Center? Is there a sense of excitement that you get by speaking to all the callers who dial into your show?
Actually, I am airing a lot of interviews, at least 6 to 7, almost every day, half an hour, other than my shows. And the moment I finish my shows, it's difficult to work in the office because I keep on getting calls almost every alternate minute that we need a pass, and they keep on inquiring. But yes, there's a lot of excitement, and we really hope and wish that whatever he comes here for, he's coming here for digital, making the India digital, meeting the CEOs. We really wish him, as well as because it's good for India and that's our country. देश प्रेम तो बहुत है, तो हम चाहते हैं कि ऐसा कुछ हो ये सब जितनी आशा है वो फलीभूत हो और जब इंडिया जाए तो भारतीय लोगों को ये भेंट दे। तो हम तो हमारे देश का नाम यहाँ बहुत बढ़ा रहे हैं। हम भी चाहते हैं कि आप भी हमारे साथ जुड़े, वॉट एवर हेल्प नीडेड, हमारे से जो कोई भी मदद चाहिए यहाँ से please feel free, क्योंकि हमारा देश है।
All right, thank you all very much for joining us. I see your break's about to get over and you'll be live back soon for allowing us into your studios. Thank you very much. Thank you. While there's a huge amount of excitement amongst the Indian American community, even those who are not Indians are looking forward to the Prime Minister's visit, because this is a big opportunity to try and build business ties between Silicon Valley and India. I caught up with Ash Kalra, who's a member of the San Jose City Council, and he says that the people in the city of San Jose are very keen on partnering with India to help create a greater bond between Silicon Valley in the United States and India's own Silicon Valley. Joining us now, right outside the San Jose Town Hall, is Ash Kalra. He's a council member of the city of San Jose, the capital of Silicon Valley. Thank you very much, Ash, for joining us. As somebody who's a member of the Indian American community and also very closely involved in the administration of the city of San Jose, what does the Modi visit mean to you?
It means a lot. First of all, as a representative of this city, of all places for him to choose our hometown, my hometown, to visit, it's incredibly meaningful, especially because we're doing so much to really welcome people from all around the world.
Were you surprised that he's coming to San Jose? Los Angeles is nearby.
Sure.
He could have gone to San Francisco. Instead he's coming to San Jose.
I'm not surprised at all. You know, we are the capital of Silicon Valley. This is where the innovation is occurring. This is an immigrant community where everyone from around the world comes to find their dreams and to make the world a better place. And that's what the Prime Minister seeks to do in India. And by coming here to Silicon Valley, I think he's putting the stamp of approval on the city of San Jose and this valley in terms of being able to realize his dreams for India by partnering with us here.
We've seen over the past few months Prime Minister Modi work on pairings between cities. There's been some Indian cities paired with Chinese cities.
Sure.
Do you see something like that happen with San Jose and an Indian city?
Well, I look forward to as many partnerships as possible. We actually do have a sister city. Pune as our sister city, and that relationship's been there for about a quarter century, and we look forward to partnering with even more regions and more cities of India as well, because the reality is that especially with digital India and with the technology sector, it isn't so much as to where you are physically, because we can be connected no matter where we are.
So we've seen that the Indian American community, of course, is hugely excited. But what about others here in San Jose? Those who are not necessarily from the Indian community, but still look forward to India as an opportunity?
The Indian community here and India as a whole really has been something, I think in the past 5 to 10 years in particular, the greater American community has really gravitated towards India and Indians, both India as a country as well as Indian Americans that are here. And so I think there's a great excitement, maybe not to the same degree as with the Indian American community, but there's absolutely an excitement, especially given the fact that we're a very educated community here, tech-savvy community here. They understand the importance and relevance of India when it comes to Silicon Valley and San Jose.
Our Prime Minister speaks a lot about smart cities. What can smart city San Jose offer to India?
We can offer a lot. We talk about the same thing. And we have the world headquarters of Cisco here, for example, Adobe. So many countries that companies that are playing a role in helping countries and cities move in that direction. So we have a whole lot to offer India and Indian cities in terms of partnering with us in order to become smart cities.
Okay, and what can, in your view, India do to try and have its own Silicon Valley? Is that at all something that can be recreated back home?
Well, we have a lot of the Indians that are here helping to create Silicon Valley here. So we don't want them to go back. So they're going to have to do it on their own over there. And the great thing about technology is it doesn't have to be a physical place, right? And with Digital India, it truly can be the whole nation moving as its own Silicon Valley.
Well, Ash, it's been very nice speaking to you. A lot of members of the Indian community I've been chatting with, have been speaking highly of you. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure. Welcome.
Thank you. The Indus Entrepreneurs is a group of super successful Indian entrepreneurs who now want to give back and try and help the next generation of wannabe entrepreneurs. They provide them with funding, they provide them with advice, they provide them with guidance on how they can go about setting up a successful business. These people are buzzing with ideas about why Silicon Valley is so successful, why is it the heart of global innovation, and what is it that India should be doing to try and replicate the Silicon Valley success model. I sat down at the Computer Science Museum with half a dozen of the entrepreneurs to talk to them about the lessons that Prime Minister Narendra Modi should be taking back home. Silicon Valley, some of the biggest names in the computer business, people who left India several decades ago and were hugely successful in setting up firms over here. They now run the Indus Entrepreneurs, and I'm privileged to be joined by them on the India Today Indus Roundtable. So I want to start with Kamal Rekhi. He's one of the biggest names in Silicon Valley. I want to ask you, sir, what your expectations are from Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit.
It's very symbolic, that he chose Silicon Valley. It tells you that he knows, what the Indians want. The Indians want to be like Silicon Valley. The Indians have done extremely well here, and people are in India would like to see Silicon Valley type of environment in India too, right? So from that perspective, he has done a super job. But hopefully he picks up the right messages here. It's a freewheeling valley. Everything grows. You do a startup, you succeed, you fail. The system is very, very much designed to make sure that startups happen and succeed.
Okay, Venkatesh Shukla is the president of the Indus Entrepreneurs at this time. You're putting together a large part of this visit. How excited are the Indus Entrepreneurs and Indian entrepreneurs here in Silicon Valley building up to Prime Minister Modi's visit?
The most significant part is that this is the first government in India that has made a startup as a national priority. I think, so regardless of people's political affiliation, of how they feel about Mr. Modi, this is the most exciting part, that finally there's a recognition in India that the source of employment generation, the source of wealth creation is through startups.
We've seen Indians be very successful here in Silicon Valley when it comes to startups, when it comes to innovations, and yet we're not seeing similar successes back home. We've started seeing some of it recently, but by and large, not a patch on what Indians have been able to achieve here in Silicon Valley. What would you like to see change for Indians to be as successful back home as they are here?
I think the ecosystem, that makes a very, very big difference. And I think the support system, the infrastructure. So all of these things take time. They're not done overnight. And we as Indians out here of Indian origin are very hopeful that Modi and his kind of vision is what will help us to kind of reach there. We don't expect miracles. It's not going to happen overnight. It's just that if they create the right environment, give the free flow, give the infrastructure to do these things, there's a lot of smart people out there and that will help. So
Anshu Sharma runs a big venture capital fund. You saw the Prime Minister's big visit to New York last year. How is this one different?
In some ways, there's the old India and a new India, right? So when I was going to college in IIT in India, I remember we used to think, oh my God, if I could get a job at a multinational company, that would be amazing. Now I talk to people who are graduating, I invest in them, I help them. And the thing I see in them is they want to build global companies. They're not satisfied working for Google, they want to create Google. And I think what Modi's trip here represents is that embodiment of that ambition.
PJ Arun is the CEO of July Systems. He's a serial entrepreneur. We've seen in India so far, people have had a employment mindset that let's just find a job, retire. If it's the government, then it's best. That, of course, is changing very quickly. What would you like to see the Prime Minister do to try and make, we just heard Tandon say that, you can't make a Silicon Valley in India. But what would you like to see the Prime Minister do to ensure that stand-up startup India, for example, becomes a big success?
So Rahul, I think, it's a fallacy about this can't be done in India. And so really what I think the PM has done, he's legitimized the concept of a startup in India. And so there's this taboo, right? The social taboo about, hey, I'm working for a small company. I mean, I run a company with 400 employees in Bangalore. And some people don't want to join saying, I'd rather go work for a big company because I'm like hoping to get married next year and I'm not going to be able to get a bride because, people don't want to see somebody in a risky situation. So I think, giving people the confidence that it's perfectly okay to be in part of a startup, I think that's something coming from the top is going to make a big difference.
So Anshu, do you see some of the mindsets change on the ground, or India just wants to talk about startup, stand up and is not doing enough on the ground to try and get things to move?
It's great to have grand visions and have campaigns like Clean India, Digital India, Make in India. But in reality, it's the small things that really change a country, right? So in this country, I've never once had to say, why is my garbage not getting collected, or why is the air not clean enough, or why are the roads not getting built? Whereas when I talk to my friends and entrepreneurs in India, we talk about building billion-dollar companies, but then the road between their office in Flipkart and their home in Bangalore is broken. They can't find the right means to get their employees to work. Sure, if you're the CEO, you can fix everything. You can buy multi-million-dollar homes in India even. But the average person is having a very difficult time because the smallest of the things are not taken care of. And I think in 60 years of India, it's really the failure at the micro scale, not at the mega scale. Because every leader says, we want to make India like America. But I think it starts with fixing roads, making teachers come to school and teach. It's all the simple things that need to be done first.
Mr. Arun, we've seen several big successful Indian companies here, but not quite of the scale of a Microsoft or a Google or a Facebook or a Twitter. Why is that? They've been, yes, they've been hugely successful, but not amongst the 5-6 biggest names in the world.
You know, that's actually not quite true. I think, you know, there are a lot. I mean, first of all, these companies, you know, you just mentioned, a huge bunch of their contributors, right from the seed investors to, you know, the co-founders, are of Indian origin, right? So what really constitutes an American company anymore, right? So if you go to a Google, if, you know, like a third of the people working in Google are of Indian origin. So, I mean, you know, just because it's not owned by, let's say, Indian investors, it doesn't matter. So I actually beg to differ that a lot of these company successes are attributable to people of Indian origin. The other thing I think I also want to add is that the whole world is beating a path to the Silicon Valley to see and learn about how we do things. And here we are, you know, a third of, like, you know, most startups and successful entrepreneurs in the Valley are of Indian origin. And we at TIE are looking to sort of mentor and foster entrepreneurship. And we've done a fantastic job doing that in the Valley and in the US. We are now looking to do that for our brothers and sisters living in India.
So the big talk has to be backed by action on the ground. I think that's the message that all these Indus entrepreneurs are sending back to India. Thank you all very much for joining us. Thank you.